Have you ever seen a ghost? No? Well, you can see one in the poem The Haunted Houses by H.W. Longfellow. And in case you are wondering, what does haunted mean? It means a place which is visited or inhabited by a ghost or spirit. In this poem, The Haunted Houses has been taken from the textbook The Treasure Chest, which is part of the ICSE curriculum for English literature for poems and short stories. Hi, I'm Smarajit Basu and welcome to my channel Step Up with Smarajit. I'm an educator of about 10 years of experience in teaching ICSE, ISC and CBSE students with literature and other subjects as well. And in case you wish to get in touch with me, you can call me on the numbers which are there given in the frame. And please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's move on. To begin with, this is an introduction about the poem and the poet, and this has been taken from the textbook, The Treasure Chest. And just to tell you, in the ICSE examination, we get quite often questions from this introduction itself. So please pay attention to it, dear students. About the poet. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow lived between the years 1807 and 1882 and was one of America's iconic poets of the 19th century. And he reminded Americans of their roots through his writings. He is remembered for the myths and classic legends that he created from American historical events and materials such as the Song of Hiawatha, based on a Native American oral history, and Paul Revere's Ride, which is celebrating the first battle of the Revolutionary War. The phantoms in Longfellow's poem, Haunted Houses, are neither mischievous poltergeists nor angry spirits who seek to harm. They are simply the souls of the dear departed who linger in our memories and therefore in our lives and homes. And as you can see in the picture, they seem to share our living spaces and silently observe, perhaps even join in our daily activities at the table, at the fireside. They float, they waft, they glide about us, and we feel somehow that they are connected to us for all time. The poem's regular rhythm and rhyming structure and its gentle tone evoke a feeling of peace and solace, a sense of security that is not often associated with the notion of haunting. Longfellow's assertion that all houses are haunted houses is comforting rather than menacing, an acknowledgement that our loved ones, although no longer with us, will continue to walk among us as long as they live in our memories. Before we begin, let me tell you that this poem consists of 10 stanzas, and each stanza is of 4 lines each with a very regular structure and a A-B rhyming pattern. So we move on to the first stanza here, which says, all houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. The poet begins by saying that all houses where people have lived before and they have died also in that house are haunted houses. Haunted houses are not unique, but all houses are haunted houses, as you can see in the picture. He continues by saying that through the open doors, the harmless phantoms on the errands glide with feet that make no sound upon the floors. So as you can see in the picture, the door of the house is open, and as we go on, we come in and go out, so do the harmless phantoms. Phantoms are the spirit of a dead person, somebody who had lived in that house. His spirit is coming and going through the same doorway, and it is harmless. And why do they move around? Because they go on the errands. And what is an errand? An errand is a short journey to take or get something for somebody. And they glide. So if you want to ask what is the meaning of glide, it is to move smoothly without noise or effort. So the phantoms or these spirits move around the house silently with feet that make no sound upon the floors. So since they are spirits, they are not living, they are not real, When they walk on the floors, they do not make any sound and they move in complete silence. We now move on to the second stanza. And as you said, this poem is of 10 stanzas. And the first 5 stanzas are fairly simple and they are direct. But the last 5 stanzas are slightly complex and philosophical. Now in the second stanza, the poet says, we meet them. He's talking as the narrator is the we. We meet them, we the living beings. We meet them at the doorway, on the stair, along the passages. They come and go, impalpable impressions on the air. So the poet says, we meet the phantoms or the spirits at the doorway, as you can see in the picture, or on the stair, or along the passages. They just come and go. Impalpable impressions on the air. Impalpable means something which cannot be touched or felt. And impressions are something, it is a mark that is left when an object has been pressed into a hard surface. So these phantoms or the ghosts are like in the air, they cannot be touched or felt, but they leave their mark on the air. They move about as if a sense of something moving to and fro. So as you can see in the picture, just like the pendulum swings to and fro, the spirits or the ghosts move around the house to and fro running errands. In the third stanza, the poet says, there are more guests at the table than the hosts invited. The illuminated hall is thronged with quiet, inoffensive ghosts, as silent as the pictures on the wall. So as you can see in this picture itself, that there is a dining table and the hosts are seated in that table, and there are more people, which is the ghosts, as you can see in the picture, of the spirits, those who have come in uninvited, which the hosts have not invited, in the illuminated hall. You can see the dining hall, which is illuminated by a chandelier and the candles, and the hosts are crowding it, is thronged, is crowding with, the dining hall is crowded with quiet, inoffensive ghosts. The ghosts or the spirits are quiet, and inoffensive means they are harmless, and they mean do not offend or upset anyone. And they are as silent as the pictures on the wall. Not only are they harmless and inoffensive, but they're also silent, just like the pictures on the wall are silent. The poet further says in the fourth stanza, the stranger at my fireside cannot see the forms I see, nor hear the sounds I hear. He but perceives what is, while unto me all that has been is visible and clear. So the poet says, or the narrator says, that the stranger at my fireside, means of the narrator's fireside, those who live, the person who lives in that house, the stranger has come, but he cannot see the forms I see. The forms means the outward appearance of the spirits. The stranger cannot see the spirits that I see, nor hear the sounds I hear, the sounds of the spirits that the inhabitant of the house can hear. He but perceives, he means the stranger, but perceives what is, means what is in the present. He can see what is in the present. While unto me means to me, or to me, all that has been is visible and clear. So all that has been, it's the past tense. To me, what has been in the past means the people who lived earlier, and the spirits is visible and clear to me. Just to clarify further, as you can see in these pictures, you can see the inhabitant on the house, can see the phantom or the spirit who lives in that house, in that haunted house, where this inhabitant also lives, and he can sense the spirit coming out of the fireplace or the fireside. But if you see in the next visual, the stranger cannot see the phantom because he is a stranger. He doesn't live in that house. He's as a visitor, he's a stranger. He cannot feel or sense the spirit which lives in that same house. Moving on to the fifth stanza, the poet says, we have no title deeds to house or lands. We here means the narrator, those who are inhabitants of the house. They do not have title deeds or the legal document which concerns the house. Owners and occupants of earlier dates, from graves forgotten, stretch their dusty hands, as you can see in the picture, and hold in mortmain still their old estates. So what here the poet says is, the inhabitants of the house, the current inhabitants of the house, they do not have the title deeds or the legal documents which is in the name of their ancestors or those who lived in that house earlier, those who were the owners and occupants of earlier dates. And they, the spirits, the people, those who used to live earlier and those who are no more, from graves forgotten, their graves have been forgotten, there have been no flowers placed on their graves, stretch their dusty hands. Stretch the dusty hands means which have been out of use, they're dusty, they're dirty, and they stretch those hands and hold in mortmain still their old estates. Mortmain means in perpetuity, a legal document which is constant or continuous ownership. They still hold ownership about their old estates, and that's what the poet says in this stanza. To make it clearer, you see a picture of the title deed. And what a title deed means, it is a legal document that serves as the official proof of ownership for a piece of land or property. And an estate is a large area of land in the countryside that is owned by someone. And if you wish to know what does mortmain mean, you can see it in the visual where the outstretched dusty hand, and you can see the old grave where there are no flowers or nothing. It's old dusty grave and the hand is coming out of the grave, but that hand or that person who is in that grave still holds a mortmain, means he still holds the title deed to the house. And mortmain is a legal term referring to the perpetual, inalienable ownership of real estate by a corporation, church, or charitable institution. In the sixth stanza, the poet says, the spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere, and everywhere wafts through these earthly mists and vapors dense a vital breath of more ethereal air. So the poet says the spirit world around this world of sense. So as you can see in the picture, the world of the spirits or the phantoms or the ghosts, which we can see around us, the living world. The living world is the tree, the mountains, the sun. That is our world. And they float like an atmosphere. I mean, the world of spirits, they float above us like an atmosphere, and everywhere wafts through these earthly mists and vapor houses. Vapors denses. Vapor dense means a thick mist. So the spirits waft through these earthly mists and the vapor dense on the earth's surface of the earth like a vital breath of more ethereal air. Ethereal means extremely delicate, almost heavenly. So the spirits bring with them a heavenly air so that we can breathe more easy. Moving on to the seventh stanza, the poet says, and here is a little philosophical, our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires, the struggle of the instinct that enjoys and the more noble instinct that aspires. So the poet says our little lives, our small lives, are kept in balance. Equipoise is balance, means a state of balance or equilibrium. So our lives are kept in balance by opposite attractions and desires. So it means they are not in the same direction, but they're in opposite directions. Something which pulls us and something which attracts us, pushes us. So they are opposite, which is like something like which is pleasure, which pulls us, and something like the higher desires. They also are in the opposite direction. They don't give pleasure. So the struggle of the instinct that enjoys. The instinct that enjoys means we enjoy pleasures. So that instinct that enjoys, and if you would ask what is instinct, it is a natural force that causes a person to behave without thinking. So the struggle of the instinct that enjoys and the more noble instinct that aspires, and the more noble instinct, the higher level of instinct that aspires something like with truth, knowledge, beauty, honesty, etc., which we all aspire for. Moving on to the eighth stanza, the poet continues and says, these perturbations, this perpetual jar of earthly wants and aspirations high, come from the influence of an unseen star, an undiscovered planet in our sky. So the poet says these conflicts between the noble instincts and the less noble instincts or the more earthly instincts, this conflict, these perturbations, this perpetual jar, this continuing conflict, this disagreement within ourselves, of earthly wants, means our earthly wants like wealth, pleasure, power, fame, and aspirations high like truth, knowledge, beauty, virtue, service, come from the influence of an unseen star. So whether we are attracted towards the earthly wants or the higher aspirations, that comes from an astrological influence or the influence of an unseen star, which is an undiscovered planet in our sky. And moving into the 9th stanza, the poet here uses a simile also. As we can see, he has used metaphors and similes. So the poet goes on to say that, and as the moon from some dark gate of cloud throws over the sea a floating bridge of light, across whose trembling planks our fancies crowd into the realm of mystery and night. So as you can see in the picture, the moon is coming out of a cloud, or a gate of cloud, and it's dark and the moon is shining over the sea. So when the moon shines, it throws over the sea a floating bridge of light. As you can see, the moon is shining on the water as if it is a bridge, across whose trembling planks, across the bridge trembling planks. As you can see, the planks, the wooden plank is a flat piece of wood used to decking and flooring or other construction. So that plank, as you can see in this picture, so we move across this trembling planks. When the water moves and trembles, our fancies crowd, our imagination or fancies crowd on this trembling plank of the floating bridge of light, and we move on into the realm of mystery and night. So when we move ahead, as you can see in the picture, we are moving ahead towards an area or region of mystery and darkness or night. And you can see in this end of that, there is a dash, which is a connection with the next stanza. And the poet continues in the last stanza, or the 10th stanza of this poem. As the moon throws its beam on the sea like a bridge of light, so from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light, connecting it with this, over whose unsteady floor that sways and bends, wander our thoughts above the dark abyss. So the poet says, it says, comparing the two paragraph or the stanzas, the 9th stanza and the last stanza, it says, just like the moon throws its beam on the water and it's like a bridge of light, likewise from the world of spirits, as you can see in this picture, there descends a bridge of light. You can see a bridge of light in this picture, which comes from the world of the spirits, which connecting it with this means our earth, over whose unsteady floor, as you can see the bridge, over whose unsteady floor, the floor of the bridge is unsteady, it moves, that sways and bends. Sway means it moves slowly from side to side with the wind, and bends, at times it bends also. So whose unsteady floor that sways and bends, wander our thoughts above the dark abyss. So when we walk on this bridge, our thoughts wander here and there above the dark abyss. So below this is a dark hole, and if you know what is an abyss, it is a very deep hole that seems to have no bottom. So we walk on a very dangerous bridge, and our thoughts are controlled or guided by the spirits of our ancestors who give us guidance. With the end of the 10th stanza, we come to the end of the poem, and we move on to the central idea of the poem, Haunted Houses. The poem's central idea is that houses are not truly haunted by scary spirits, but by the memories of the people who lived there. These memories fill a house with love and stories from the past, making it a place of comfort and connection, not fear. A house is kept alive by the love and memories of those who once called it home. Dear students, if you wish to know more about the poem, you can contact me on the numbers given, either through WhatsApp or you can call me directly, and I can coach you or teach you in detail regarding the themes, the form and structure of the poem, the literary devices used, and of course the critical appreciation of the poem, with also the MCQs, the short and long answers that are required for the ICSE examination. So thank you for watching the video, and if you have liked it, please like, share and hit on the subscribe button, and bye bye till we meet again in our next video.